Hey guys, Arthur Madness here outside the shop today. It's a beautiful summer day, and what we're going to be doing, we're shooting a little video of our new MAXPower ECM. We're going to be doing a how-to install, and basically all we need you to remember is this: plug and play installation, fully able to be returned back to stock with a bypass plug, and it installs in a matter of minutes. In this case, it's about 30 of those minutes, but again, very, very simple to use. Now we're going to cut away. We're going to show you the first installation procedures, tools that you might need, and then we're going to do a nice little recap, and this shows you everything, the befores, the afters, and then we're going to talk about the app. Yes, the app that works with Android and iOS operating systems. So come along for the ride, and we'll be seeing you with some MAXPower soon. Okay, so I'm going to remove the two 10mm screws, or bolts I should say, that hold the engine cover down. They're located here and here, so I'm going to loosen them. If you happen to have electric tools, it does speed it up a little bit, but they're not on there very tight. So with them loose, you can just use your extension. These are not captive bolts, so if you turn the cover upside down, when they're loose, they will fall, so just be careful of that when you're removing it. And once you have them both loose, you're just going to pick up on the cover. There is one other push to lock fastener in this location towards the back that will be holding it in. You'll feel it. You just pull there and lift it up. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the positive and negative from the battery cable. We're actually going to have to completely remove the battery from the battery tray in order to access one of the sensors. That's going to require a 10mm for the battery and a 13mm for the hold down. We're going to show you that now. So now that we have access to the various sensors in the engine bay completely, we're going to go ahead and start unhooking the three sensors, that being our boost pressure sensor here, nice out in the open. On the side of the block, where we remove the battery, we're going to have our camshaft sensor. And then towards the back of the passenger side firewall, we have our manifold pressure sensor. These are the three that we're going to disconnect, that we're going to lay our harness in place, we're going to zip tie everything nice and neat, and then we're going to make our connections for our MAXPower ECU. So each of our three sensors is going to look pretty similar to our boost pressure sensor here. The main thing to note is the locking connector. That's the yellow portion of this harness piece here. To release it, what you're going to need to do is use your nail or a screwdriver to pull the actual locking connector away, and that's going to allow you to depress this tab here and remove the harness from the sensor itself. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the other two sensors, and then we're going to be ready to lay out our harness and zip tie it and install the module. So the last sensor is our camshaft sensor. Now the reason we remove the battery tray is because we need to get our hand all the way in there. As a matter of fact, you're not going to really be able to even see where it's at. This is more of a feel thing. It's really simple to uninstall and really simple to install as long as you know where it's at. So as you reach your hand back here, you're going to follow along just below the black portion of this box here, and when you reach your hand back there, you're going to actually feel the sensor, you're going to be able to pull back the locking connector with your nail. You could use a screwdriver, you can get it back there if you need to, and then you're going to depress the tab and remove the sensor. Now I've already done that, and I'm going to be able to show you the end of the sensor if I fish it out. So as you can see, it's a 3-pin 1, 2, 3 connection sensor, and there we have our locking tab at the top and our little black connector that releases. So that's our sensor. It's been disconnected. Now we're going to go ahead and lay the harness in, make all our connections. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind now that we're about ready to put our harness is that each one of these connections is labeled. So you have boost pressure sensor, we have camshaft sensor, and then we have manifold air pressure sensor. That's going to tell us where each one of these connections goes. And as you might remember, our manifold pressure sensor is by the firewall, our boost pressure sensor is right here, and our camshaft sensor is the one that's kind of a little bit hard to see. So what we're going to do now is lay our harness through, and we're going to make our connections. Now, something to keep a note, there's going to be 2 connections per each labeled portion of the harness. What that does is one of the connections is going to plug into the sensor, and then the remaining connection is going to plug into the factory harness that we just disconnected from the sensor. So for instance, on our manifold pressure sensor, I'm going to take the male end and insert that into the sensor, then the female end is going to receive the male end of the factory harness. Alright, so now I'm going to take the male portion of this manifold pressure sensor, and I'm going to insert it into the actual sensor itself. And I'm going to take the remaining female portion. I'm going to make sure to align the locking tab for the sensor, which is here, with the actual top portion of the locking connector, the yellow portion, on the manifold position sensor. When I hear that click, I know that everything's been made, and I'm going to slide the locking connector into place. Alright, so next we have our boost pressure sensor, and just like the manifold pressure sensor, what we're going to do is take the male portion and we're going to insert that into the sensor, making sure to orient the actual locking portion of the part that you can depress here to release with the top part of the sensor and the locking connector here. And we're going to want to hear a click, just like that, so we know that that's locked in place. And then we're going to take the remaining female connection and we're going to align again that locking tab with the actual yellow portion of the connector. We're going to wait for that audible click as well. There we go, we have it, and then we're going to slide the lock into place. And now we're going to move on to the camshaft sensor. Alright, so we're down to the last connection, and ultimately it's the hardest one to show. It's very simple just like the others, but I'm going to explain it here. So we're going to take the male portion again, and this is what's going to plug into the sensor. You're going to make sure that you just reach your hand back down into the area, which we can't show you, and you're going to plug it in. You're going to feel and hear that audible click. When you do that and you feel that, you're going to know that it's seated in place properly and it's ready to move on to the female connection. And the female connection I'll be able to show you because I can pull the harness out, and we're just going to make sure that we orient that locking tab with the yellow portion of the connector so that everything lines up in place. Okay, so what I'm holding in my left hand right here is the factory connection for the camshaft sensor. I've already gone ahead and plugged in the MAXPower harness to the camshaft sensor on the car, but now I'm going to go ahead and plug the female portion, which I have here in my right hand, with the factory harness side. Now again, just make sure that this locking connector is pointed up to mate with the yellow portion of the locking connector, and then we're going to push it, listen for that audible click. It's a little tight, so I'm trying to make sure you guys can see this. Pull back the locking connector, and then you hear that click. Then I'm going to go ahead with my thumb and slide the locking connector back into place so it locks. There we go, and now we're done with the harness install. Now we're just going to go with routing and zip tying so that it looks nice and clean. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and routed the harness, used a couple of zip ties. I used only 2 of them. Basically for the manifold pressure sensor, I routed the harness towards the back side with the factory weather pack harness, right along the throttle body. And then with the boost pressure sensor, I did the same thing. I routed it back along that way. And the camshaft sensor is already tucked away up under the side of the block. So now the only thing that we're left with is the actual connection that hooks up to the MAXPower module. So now what we're going to do is start installing the battery so that we can get the final mount on the MAXPower, and then we're going to be finished with the installation. We reinstalled our battery into the battery tray, and we used our 13mm to connect the hold down strap to keep the battery secured in place so it doesn't move around. And then we used a 10mm wrench, open-ended, to connect our positive battery terminal. And then we used the 2 10mm nuts to connect our peripherals, in this case our power wire for our amp, ECU connections, and other accessories. And then we did the quick disconnect for the negative side of the battery terminal, and that's going to wrap up our power side of the install. All right, so the next step is going to be reinstalling our engine cover. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up and place it into position. You can see here there's two little standoff threads in one in the valve cover and then one on a bracket just off of the valve cover. And that's going to be where those two 10mm bolts go to secure the engine cover in place. And let's get it installed. So the main thing to keep in mind is to just guide this over your ECU, your oil cap, and your dipstick, and then you're gonna press it down till it snaps in place, and then you're just gonna use your 10mm socket to tighten these two down, and that's gonna complete the installation. So what I like to do so I don't cross thread anything is just do it by hand first until I feel this start to seat and thread, and you'll feel it when it grabs. And then once it gets a little bit of resistance on it, I know it's in, I'll stop there, move on to the next one until I get the next thing. There it is. And then now let's finish it up with a nice tight down with our ratchet here. And just make sure it's going into a plastic cover, so just make sure you just turn it a little bit once it's snug, and that's more than sufficient. You don't want to wrench on these too hard. And our engine cover is done. Now let's mount the module and be ready for a test drive. All right, so our final connection on our wiring harness is going to be connecting the module that I have in my hands here. This is actually our Bluetooth module, our MAXPower Bluetooth. Very, very cool features this has. You can connect your Bluetooth cell phone, tablet, anything that has Bluetooth support. We have Android and iOS applications in their stores, so no matter what kind of operating system you have running, you're going to be able to real-time adjust and tune the box that you're installing, that we're installing right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to route the harness by the battery. We're going to mount this on top, and then we're going to go show you how to use the app. So follow me. All right, so now that I have the harness routed just atop the battery, we're going to fix mount our MAXPower ECM with double-sided tape or Velcro to the top of the battery and have everything plugged in and routed. But before I do that, I wanted to talk to you about a really cool feature we offer with all of our MAXPower ECMs. It's what we call our bypass plug. And for all intents and purposes, what this does is once installed, it reverts your car to 100% stock. So you simply line up the port, press it into place, and slide the locking connector closed, and you are now back to 100% stock. So if you want to go to the dealer, if you have to go get service, warranty work, anything like that, and you're worried about having something installed in your engine bay, you just tuck this little guy away, and no one's going to ever see that you have anything installed in your car. So now that we've done that, let me show you how to fix mount this ECU. All right, so we're going to install this exactly we did the bypass plug. We're going to line it up and plug it in. It only goes one way. Then once the connector bottoms out, we're going to slide the lock. You can hear it click, and it's nice and closed. Now before you go ahead and you stick it down to the top of the battery, if you have the Bluetooth model, you're going to want to flip it over, and right here on the connection, you're going to see a code. Write that code down. That's your login information for pairing the app through Bluetooth on the iOS or Android store. So once you have that written down and stored, you're going to go ahead. We've already removed the double-side tape protection, and we're going to press this into place. So now that we have everything installed, the last step is to download the Madness Autoworks app from the Android or iOS store. Now I'm using an iPhone here, and I've already gone ahead and downloaded the Madness Autoworks app. You'll just keyword search in either store Madness Autoworks, download it. Once it's on your home screen like it is here, you're going to go ahead and open it, and you're going to turn the ignition on. With the ignition on, as you can see on the screen, it's going to say, please scan the serial number of your Madness Autoworks box to connect it to your smartphone. In this case, we're going to go ahead and type it in since we know the number from earlier in the video. So we have 226599628. And then we're going to click connect. Take notice of your local road, so you get a nice little disclaimer that we have there. Because it is a cell phone app, you want to make sure you use it responsibly. All right, so now that we've actually got rid of the warning that we have, the disclaimer, we're going to see that we have the RPM on the screen. We're going to go ahead and start our car, so I'm going to depress the clutch, start her up. All right, so now we have a real-time RPM of the car, and as you can see, as I depress the gas, RPM of the car does raise and lower, and that nice cool sound that you hear in the background is our power pop-off valve that we have on the car. So if that's something that you would like to get, as you can hear it there, we do offer that as well. So now that we have this up and open, what can you do? Well, as you can see, the bottom, it says change mode. If you click that, you have Eco, Sport, or Sport Plus mode that are available to you. Those three modes are described in our online catalog for the MAXPower ECM, and you can just simply choose whichever mode you would like to go in, and the corresponding color does change on the RPM display to tell you what mode that you are currently in. So for our car, we're going to set it to Sport mode. There's the orange. We can change. Sport Plus is red. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go on a test drive, and we're going to see how it feels through the streets of Long Beach. Alright, so we're going to take it on a test drive right here and just see what we feel. So the main thing, this is a heavier vehicle. We have the 1.4 multi-air motor in the car, but we're going to notice a lot more torque and horsepower in the mid-range RPM. That's how we design these modules. So once we get to a little bit of open space, we'll be able to get on it a little bit. So what does that mean? That means anything from a dig, anything where we're going to be in boost, that's where we're going to have our most torque, which is the nice thing that we want. Horsepower, peak horsepower, stuff like that, not really concerned with that, because when are you driving that you spin this motor to at 6,500 RPM redline? You don't really do that. What you do is you downshift when you need to change lanes, change gears, you're in traffic, things like that. So with our power packs, with this ECM, it's going to be the wheelhouse that we're looking to get as far as performance is concerned. So just a lot more power through the RPM range, a lot more responsiveness from the turbo, and it really gets this car moving. It's a lot heavier than some of the other cars that comes in, the Abarth, the Dart, but it really does wake up the performance of the car. Especially in instances like this where we happen to be behind somebody that's driving, when it opens up, we can just stomp down on it. We have a lot of pickup that we're ready to go and pass. All right, so back outside the shop, you've seen it all. You've seen how it installs, the features of the MAXPower ECM, the tools that are required to put it in. Again, basic hand tools for you. So if you have any questions, if you need anything else, madnessautoworks.com. Be sure to please thumbs up, like, and subscribe. It's somewhere down here, I'm sure. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. As always, thanks so much for the support and the love you show on all these videos. It really helps us to be able to make these for you on more and more products for all the various makes and models that we support at Madness Autoworks. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.